Hello and welcome back to the A Word and Me. My name is Alana and today's video is all about how to survive solo travelling. The first thing that I want to do in this video is apologise for the mess behind me. I have been incredibly busy since I've got back to Spain and I've been doing things all day and travelling and stuff, so I really haven't had a proper chance to sort out my rooms. Apologies for the mess. But anyway, the focus of this video is that 2 weeks ago I travelled to and from Spain alone. I'm quite an anxious flyer. I don't think it's necessarily the plane does make me anxious, but it's the whole airport experience. But when my friend invited me to come to Spain with her, I really wanted to go, and I felt within me that it was the right time to go and that I could brave solo flying. Then in about 3 weeks time I'm heading off to America solo. That's about a 10-hour flight, so that's going to be different, and I think that could potentially change my perceptions of solo travelling on planes and what I do. But I thought it was really important to make a video based on the short flight I did. One of the things that my friend Hannah told me before I flew, she said, "Oh Alana, I don't really like flying, but I much prefer travelling on my own." And I have to say, she kind of made a really valid point. As much as I like flying with my family, having people to talk to, it meant that in the airport I could be on my own routine. I could eat where I wanted to, I could kind of go to the toilet when I wanted to, I could go to the check-in gate when I wanted to, all these things. Whereas before we'd have to operate as a family of 4. I could just do it on my own. But then there are aspects of nice things about flying with other people. I'm sure when I do a nice 10-hour flight on my own, I'll be I wish I had family with me, or someone with me to talk to. But yeah, so this video is all about solo travelling, just the plane and the travel experience with the airport and stuff like that I have decided to share. These are things that I did and I personally thought they worked really well, and I've kind of incorporated some other things from there. One side note that my friend Charlotte told me, she said avoid duty free. She said just as soon as you go through security you reach duty free, she said just walk through it because it's got really bright lights, really strong smells, so just get through that as quickly as possible. So my first tip is quite a big tip, is to request special assistance from your airline. So on the way to Spain I requested assistance from EasyJet. I think I said I didn't have any mobility issues. I don't remember what I said. I think I had to say there weren't many options of what you could choose for, and I didn't really agree with what I put, but it was the most appropriate one. I think it was a learning disability. I think that's what I had to put. And I think I specified that I was autistic, but I'm not sure. So that is my big tip. So you do that when you buy the ticket, but you can also do it afterwards. EasyJet's sake, you have to really ideally do it 48 hours before departure. I did it about a week or 2 beforehand, so it kind of had got done, and this is something I've also requested from British Airways when I fly to America. So as a result of me requesting special assistance, I got quite a lot from it. So EasyJet do a thing where you can skip the check-in queue, so they have special assistance. So you go to that, and I found at that spot they're a bit more kind of understanding, and I thought they were a bit more friendly than other check-in people that I've experienced because I was on my own, and I think I have a very good anxious face that I like to pull, and that kind of makes people kind of warm up to me. So yeah, I kind of mastered my anxious face when I was on holiday to kind of get help with things and stuff, because if you look really confident, I just feel like people are less likely to help you if you look anxious and lost. And yeah, that's kind of the reality of it. One thing that's important to note is that Newcastle Airport said, this is kind of built on a later point, no Alana, scrap that. So I had got to skip in, check in, and because there was basically no queue, the staff just spent a little bit more time with me going through everything. The next thing they did was they gave me priority boarding. So when I went out to Spain, I said I could walk and everything. So I was the first one on the plane, and then the wheelchair users came later. What it was really nice about me going on the plane first was that I had the cabin crew directly come up to me, ask me if everything was okay, did I need any help, and that kind of alone time with them I thought was really important, because they were able to recognise me as, you know, an anxious passenger who needed special assistance. So I thought that was really good, and it meant that when all the hubbub of people like coming in on the plane, I was already sat and comfortable. So I thought that was really helpful. The next thing is when I got off the plane, they met me and they took me through everything up until baggage. They offered to stay with you to baggage, but I made a friend with an older lady, I don't know what her name was, and she was telling me, she was like, Alana, she said, we get rid of, well, she didn't call me by my name, she was like, at this point we say goodbye to the staff, because what we need to identify a young hot male who can get our bags off the baggage thing for me and us. And I was like, okay. Unfortunately we didn't identify one. She did spot a couple, but in the end I did the lifting, so I was a hot dashing female, I guess. This next point is very specific to Newcastle Airport, and I thought this was actually really good. I had a lot of praise for the airport for doing this. So they have this thing called autism passport, which is what you do. So you can print it off online, or you can do it at the airport, and you fill in what things that you find anxious. I think you need to put some contact numbers in there and stuff like that. And before you do anything at the airport, you go to the desk, this special desk. They give you one of these to put around, and this basically means that all the staff at the airport know that if you're wearing this, that you're autistic and you need special help, but without everyone kind of asking you questions and stuff. So I thought this was really good. I think I only ever saw one man with it. And then you go to check in. One thing Newcastle Airport did say was that basically ask the airline if you can skip the check-in queue, but not all airlines will let you do it. So what they did for me was they phoned up EasyJet check-in, and they were like, yeah, told me to go to check-in number 1, which was a special assistance queue. One of the also really good things I thought was when I came to security, you didn't need to have special assistance from the airport, but this was just enough. And I was getting a bit anxious, and the lady there was being really, really nice to me, you know, because I was in like this different queue, and she just kind of took everything slowly with me, talked to me really calmly and nicely, and made sure that I was okay. And I thought that was really good. So like my experience at Newcastle Airport was like amazing. Like genuinely, if you are flying from the north, and you're autistic, I really, really recommend you to fly from there. So my third point is to create a travel plan. So this includes transport to and from the airport, because you're not going to like miraculously appear at the airport. So for me, I was basically solo travelling everything from the moment I left a house to when basically I got to the airport. So with my mentor that I have at university, for the way to Spain, we picked a train that I was going to get, and I was meeting some people in Newcastle, and we chose a taxi. So we'd already talked about and previously what taxi I was going to get, so that I knew each connection I had to make. So tip number 4, coinciding with making a travel plan, for me is something I created is an airport plan. So what am I going to do at the airport? Like what things do I need to achieve after I go to security, and what am I going to do to entertain myself, because at the end of the day you have 2 hours to chill. And I thought the best thing for me was to find a cafe or a sit down point. I think I went for Costa in both airports, and you just sit down on the table and you just stay there really. So you're like in one place, you're not having to like travel around, because I felt when you actually came out of a restaurant and went into the main airport, that's when it got all chaotic and stressful. Then my last tip was to choose an aisle seat. So when I get anxious, I anxious wee all the time, and I also know I'd need a wee if I was stuck by the window, and knowing I was going to have to constantly be waking everyone up. So I chose to have an aisle seat, so I knew I could get up whenever I wanted without disturbing anyone. One of the things I really didn't want was to be sat in the middle of people, because that's something that really makes me very anxious. So I think that's really important. And I think like if you want to just be sat and you don't have that anxiety, then sit by the window. But I think sit by the window or the aisle, so that you just have that freedom. I think the aisle's really liberating. Like people say, oh, it means people like disrupt you, but I found I was always the one that getting up. No one else that I sat next to, I think they all got up about once, and there was me getting up about 5 times over the 3 hours of the flight. So yeah, that's something I think was really important. I hope you found this video really helpful. I think one of the key things that I really want to stress is that, you know, people have anxiety, and I think anxiety can be very limiting to our lives, but I don't think we should let it control our lives. Like, there's no way a year ago I would have solo travelled, but when I found that I was ready, I was able to do it, and I could make it a lot easier for myself. Like, sure, it was tough. I did have tears at both airports, but I did definitely get through it, and that it was okay. But yeah, I hope you all have like a fabulous week. I think when this comes out, you know, exams will mainly have been finished, so like in that case you got through it. Like, you guys are fantastic, well done, and I hope you all have a fantastic week. And for those of you that are starting summer, like, have a fantastic first week of summer. And next week I'll be doing a video all about how to survive summer and create those routines and activities. So hopefully you look forward to that as well. Bye bye.